Alrighty. Welcome back to Blackbird News, where everything is connected. How you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for hanging out with me every day on these interwebs. We're live on YouTube, Rockfin, Callin, and on Twitter. And on Twitter. 65 in the Ozarks, Poppy? Is that... Seems kind of warm. Seems kind of warm. If you're wondering about the thumbnail and the title, I'll explain. I know, maybe it might be a little controversial or something. Or maybe you might think this is about something that it's not. Who knows? Yeah, it's pretty warm. That's pretty warm. I think you're actually warmer than us. Hold on. I think we're 58 here. The high is supposed to be 60s. It rained all day yesterday, which was really nice. It's nice to get some rain after it's been like 80 degrees in December. It's nice to get some rain. It's supposed to rain again some more, like kind of all afternoon, all evening. Excuse me. I don't know whether I'm going to yawn or cough or something. I had the urge to do both at the same time. I'm sure you all wanted to know that. What's up, Rockfin people? I see some people kind of trailing in. Whoop. Hold on. Oh my God. Nico, shout out to Nico House. Sorry. We're gonna do absurd news headlines today, I guess. And I have to shout out AM Wake Up for the news headline that graces the thumbnail, or the inspiration for the thumbnail. Just absurd. Maybe we'll just, today is just kind of, I kind of wanted to have more of a discussion today, I guess. Not I guess, I did. I mean, we're going to talk about some climate stuff, but we know what's happening. We know that things are weird. They're getting floods in France. Lots of precipitation. We've already seen major flood events this week here, but we're going to talk about some other things going on in the world too. Give me a second. Give me one moment. All right. And usual suspects. Usual suspects showing up in the chats, so thanks for hanging out. There's a new COVID of interest. Yeah, for sure. New COVID strain coming in hot. Like, people are still some people just stick to those stories, don't they? I wonder if, I understand that the purpose is just a bunch of manufacturing of consent, right? The real game afoot is manufacturing consent for something else. But if you're trying to push something out that people are roundly suspicious of now, I don't know how far that's going to go. Just like, pushing out the idea that what Israel is doing in Gaza is acceptable on any level, or somehow defensive. I don't know how that's going because I don't think there's not a lot of people. It's roundly rejected. And I think everybody knows this, right? This is not new news. This is not different news. Everybody knows this. And yet, the purpose is the end goal is to manufacture consent for some other stuff, right? Like attacking Iran or putting up some pipelines or, you name it, increasing surveillance, forcing everybody to identify themselves on the internet with an ID. All these objectives and goals, whatever they may be. We'll find you in this holiday season, so happy holidays. Absurd headlines. So yeah, I heard this on AM Wake Up, and it kind of struck a chord for me. But in a way, in several ways. The phone lines will be open for, I don't know, 5 minutes. Side hustle, what do you do for a living? May I ask? Or what do you do? What's your story, side hustle? Just interested in the answer. I guess it's interesting. To show up somewhere where nobody agrees with what you're saying. And you insist on preaching out the gospel of your truth. Import, export. Okay, interesting. Import, export. All right. Only factor with C-19 is a lack of hospital. Are we still going with that one? Global solidarity? I don't mean to be, I'm not trying to be mean, but lack of hospital beds? Is that where we're going with? I'm just asking because that's also one of those things that got put out there. Cases are rising and there's a shortage of beds. While there was plenty of evidence that they closed facilities down during the pandemic, lots of hospitals were closed. Lots of facilities that were designed to take care of people were not even utilized. So, and there was a lot of, remember, I was streaming when it first all went down, and there was a lot of footage of people running around to hospitals saying there's nobody here. I don't know. I might have seen some of that myself. So it's kind of goes against the whole like there's no they're overrunning the hospitals with what? Cases of what? I don't know. Orcas are eating dolphins because seals are gone? Side hustle, if you don't mind me asking. Where are you in the country? Where are you in the country? Yeah, sure, maybe, Poppy. I don't know. Yeah, I just find it. I find it an interesting. There was somebody who used to. I haven't really heard from him in a long time. Somebody used to watch this channel a lot, and I was in contact with him. We would text once in a while. Um, and I apologize for not remembering your name. just because I can't remember anything. Anyways, I was texting somebody who used to watch the show who was an RN, a registered nurse. And he said during the pandemic, the place where he worked closed down. Why would you do that? If it's an emergency, blinking red lights, blinking red lights, blinking red lights, blinking red lights, blinking red lights. If it's an emergency, why would you close down facilities? I know that, that's a little bit of a pretzel logic for me, global solidarity. Hospitals closed to keep the public away is called private property. I mean, are you talking about the people filming? I don't know. I'm just saying that one doesn't make any sense to me. And there was apparently a Navy ship off the coast of New York that was parked to take care of like the overflow, and there was actual testimony in a legal case in New York that basically stated that there was nobody in that ship, that was unused. So it kind of goes against it. Actually, all of those things go against the idea that there was hospital beds were overflowing. I'm just debating the idea. That's all. I'm not saying like you're wrong. We could all have different pieces of evidence to present. It's okay. I'm just saying, what about that makes sense? Same with there were facilities, lots of facilities, health facilities closed during the pandemic. Different ones, right? There was, also stories of long-term care facilities like closed and people were shuttled off into other, like none of these things make sense. Anyways, I don't know. I probably shouldn't really even talk too much about that. Let's see if we can find this article on orcas. I don't want to, go too far back. Unforgettable moment: pod of killer whales attack a dolphin in California. Oh, this is just a video. So, Timothy, do you have a link for this story? Can't seem to really find it. Killer whales eat dolphins. It's from 2019. But killer whales are the only predators that regularly kill and devour Pacific white-sided. So they do it anyways. But maybe they might do it more if they lose other sources of food. I don't know. I'm trying to find it. I'm seeing lots of links for orcas killing dolphins. Okay. I mean, I get your point. Global solidarity. I get your point. I feel skeptical. All right, so let's look at some of these wacky headlines. And I feel like I'm gonna jump off of YouTube and go to Rockfin kind of early today. I'm just letting y'all know. Happy solstice, by the way. It is shortest day of the year. Because I may want to talk about. I feel like I've already ventured into things I probably shouldn't have. I've already walked the line, and I don't want to do that anymore. What to know about holiday heart syndrome? They're just mocking you at this point, says died suddenly. Rates of heart arrhythmias tend to spike during the December holidays. I mean, that could be true for several reasons. But that's funny. From Nico House, doing great work on Hotspot. Palestinians effectively ended women's hair salons because Israelis would spike women's drinks and take nude pictures of them to blackmail their husbands into becoming informants. That's a wild story, right? And I kind of wanted to just use this as a jumping point for maybe later. Narcissists may engage in feminist activism to satisfy their grandiose tendencies, studies suggest. Nah. I don't know why they had to target because I think that narcissists engage any activism. Right, it doesn't necessarily have to be feminist activism. I don't know why they were specific to this, but maybe this was a study specifically surrounding feminist activism. We'll look at the article a little more. But I think that narcissists do things to make themselves look good. That's like a bigger, if you want to zoom out on the narcissism thing. Narcissists are often leaders of the community. Often, they work for charity organizations. They are they're leaders of companies and businesses and churches, and that's narcissists that's typically what they do. They're very good at posing themselves as being like upstanding citizens, pillars of the community. That's what they do. They really care a lot, Remember that song, We Care a Lot? That's what narcissists do. So, I don't know, this isn't about feminists or feminism in my mind. Maybe we'll come back to that. I kind of do want to come back to that story. Jean Glad says no sardines and anchovies, no plankton, no fish. Delene Parole, what are the symptoms of drinking cleaned water? She's talking about California OK's new rules for turning wastewater into drinking water. That'll be great. I have a feeling we're going to be eating and drinking a lot of things we shouldn't in the future. I mean, we're already doing that right now, right? Peter Dines, the flooded areas in western France are a astounding result of the record-breaking rainfall that has occurred in the region over the past few weeks. A warmer atmosphere can carry and release significantly more water, resulting in increased precipitation. This is a new climate. Sam Carana, again, pointing to some very large anomalies. Arctic temperature anomaly was 4.6 C on December 14th. Arctic anomaly. Arctic anomalies are the highest in the world. See record 8.3 anomaly on November 18th, 2016. Little chance of El Nino slowing down soon. Arctic anomaly could hit higher records for the next few months. Leon Simon's great visualization of something terrible, a climate tipping point. This shows how a rainforest can tip into rapid deforestation with longer droughts as global warming worsens. Similar tipping points can cause changes in ocean currents and ice sheets. Going back to Nico House, an Israeli rabbi not only advocating for slavery, but actually trying to convince Israeli Jews that non-Jews would love to be slaves to the Jewish people. Color me shocked. This isn't even the third grossest thing I've seen or heard on Israel today, sadly. And we'll probably listen to the Joanne Reed might not have a job tomorrow after the way she exposed Nikki Haley like this for all the mainstream world to see. I can honestly, for the first time in my life, say that I'm impressed with how willing Joy has been to punch Zionism in the throat since day one of this she has been outspoken on it, which is interesting. Global Solidarity says the root cause is inferiority complex. Speaking of narcissism, unseen by others. Excuse me. White superiority. Feminism speaks of oppressed gender. Well, I was going to say, I think it's interesting. I was going to say that things like that, narcissism, etc., are according to psychiatry, they stem from trauma, right? So it would actually make sense if the people that are most traumatized exhibited the signs of trauma, wouldn't it? Which and I don't know if psychopathy or antisocial behavior necessarily, like narcissism is can be tied to trauma, but also can be tied to being given everything that you want, right? No boundaries. Like giving your child everything that they want and never having any rules or boundaries or telling them that they're great all the time and never, can create narcissism as well. So there's two places it can come from. And if you're talking about like white supremacy or white superiority, I think there's a different thing with like, the typical white guy, excuse me, American Psycho kind of prototype, entitlement. I see myself as kind of a god, but I see myself as, a god, and also, I'm supposed to be doing these things because this is what, this is where I come from. I come from privilege. I'm supposed to, I expect the world to work for me in this way. Right? So there's the narcissism that can come from privilege, and there's the narcissism that can come from trauma or oppression. And both can be used in very interesting ways. That's a good point, Poppy. Capitalism isn't about telling people they are good enough. It's about telling us that we're not, and we need this or that thing to be good enough. Which there's this thing about consuming and buying the right things and having all the stuff, right? If you don't have the stuff that everybody else has, right? They play on that fear that you're not good enough, that you don't have enough, that you don't live up to the expectations and standards of the people around you. That all have, right, good paying jobs or really nice homes or a nice car. Sorry. And there's a lot of people out there that feel like they're not enough, right? There are certain standards, and hold on one second. I really wish. Okay. It's really weird. Are we still here and live? I guess we are. Oh, you have a Consume shirt, Poppy? Very good. Right, it's what drives all the sales of the holiday season, all that kind of good stuff. Anyways, I feel like I'm getting off on a tangent. Yeah, our society induces trauma in many ways. I just can't seem to get this thing out of my throat. And the antidote for that is telling yourself that, or trying to reprogram yourself in a way that's healthy and positive, right? To tell yourself that you can be okay. You can take care of the things you need to take care of, and not, that not having the things that everybody has does not make you a bad person. And on some levels, in my case, and for some people, not having those things actually, is something to aspire to, I think. But let's go back to narcissism and activism. Let's read this article a little bit. Narcissists may engage in feminist activism to satisfy their grandiose tendencies, studies suggest. A recent study has found that individuals with higher levels of narcissistic traits are more likely to be involved in feminist activism. It's a study. The research suggests that for some, activism may serve not just as a platform for societal change, but also as a means to fulfill personal egocentric needs. Look at me. Look at the great stuff I'm doing. I'm so awesome. Look at the great thoughts that I think, right? The things that I stand for. If you've ever known a narcissist in real life, you know the shakiness of that outward mask, or that outward facade that people put up, right? I'm doing these things because I'm a better person than you, right? I'm doing these things because I am a better person. I care about people and I love. But if you actually have ever known a narcissist, you know that in real life they're actually quite the opposite. They actually really don't consider people very highly in their own life, right? The findings have been published in Current Psychology. The study was inspired by the idea that while many engage in activism for altruistic reasons or due to direct personal impact by the issues at hand, others might be motivated by less noble desires, such as the fulfillment of narcissistic needs. Again, this is just a study around, I think, maybe they're just looking at feminism in particular, but I think that this includes people who are activists of all kinds, right? Political activists. Of all stripes, right? And what's a politician anyways, right? Well, if you look at a politician, isn't the politician the epitome of a narcissist and somebody who poses themselves as, I'm going to help people. I'm here to help you. I'm going to do the right thing for the people, right? They pose themselves as these like altruistic, high value, good old hard working for the people type folks, right? And what's the reality around politicians? And what do most politicians have in common as far as like getting, political office seems to attract people who are highly, narcissistic / psychopathic, right? Because they're, and it's funny because I've known some political people who are incredibly incredibly harsh, not very nice people to be around in the real world. But they're out there, they're doing the right there. These things matter, and this really is a subject that's near and dear to my heart, and I'm doing this for the people, and I just do this because I care. But they're really in real life just not very good people. They're not very nice people to be around. Right? So, like, seeking political office is kind of like the ultimate activism. it's the ultimate attraction for narcissists. So, I don't know. Consider that, I guess, when looking at the people you're about to vote for. Do you dare say Trump? Well, sure. It's funny, it's funny that, or not funny, it's maybe not strange at all, right? That Kanye West was so enamored of Trump because they both really kind of have, I don't know, the way they exude that personality of like, I am the king, right? And Kanye West says that a lot. I am a god, right? I do actually think that Kanye West is troubled or not, is very highly in tune with a creative force, and he's a incredibly talented creative, and I would call him a genius on some levels. And what do we know about geniuses, right? They can be very troubled, very could lead very chaotic lives. But he also is in that place of, saying I am a god, which is it's almost taking that neuro-linguistic like self, I don't want to say, there's a way that you can reprogram yourself to feel, to stop feeling like such a bad person, right? Which is a thing you want to do, right? If you're constantly feeling like I'm not a good person, I don't have enough things, I'm not, a way to do that is to overwrite those negative thoughts with positive thoughts, called neurolinguistic programming. And there's healthy ways to do that, right? But like, I feel like saying, there's a reason why people say like, I am a god, or we are kings, or we're is a way it's a way to reprogram the feeling of being, that feeling of being told that you are less than, you're not enough. And it's which totally makes sense, right? I am a god. Makes sense on the level of if you're coming from a place of lack, or I've been told I wasn't enough. I've been told that I wasn't good enough to achieve these things. I've been told that I wasn't, you want to overwrite that with something positive. But there's also a thing of, that somebody else can take this positive message and carry it like into another, right. You can take any message. How many times have we seen uh, believers in Christianity or any other faith do terrible things in the name of their faith, right? Because they took a positive message and turned it into a something negative, right? So I totally understand the sentiment behind I am a God. I get it. I also think that can that can very easily transform into, I just have there's nothing that can stop me. I have no boundary, right? If you don't have any boundaries on that whatsoever, or any kind of guardrails, that can turn into something really like disastrous, like pretty quickly. But it also, you may hate everything that Kanye West says, and I don't. There's some things I agree with, some things I don't agree with. I don't, I do feel like he's kind of really, out there, but that kind of confidence and that kind of, I guess that programming, your own programming, your own narrative, that kind of self narrative can allow you to really like do things that a lot of people would not do. It can engender a lot of courage to do, to go up against things that other people might. But again, without boundaries, that can be dangerous, to yourself or to other people. And I think a lot of people look at Kanye and go, wow, okay. Are you okay? Well, that's good. J. Moniker, if you don't, I don't necessarily think about celebrities a lot, but I do think that they're good. They're a good example. They can be held up as examples for certain types of behavior. It's just what to do, what not to do, what to avoid, right? There can be celebrities out there that can show you like ways to live your life in which you can become successful. And in that case, I think there's nothing wrong with it. There's a lot of people out there that are, successful musicians or actors or dancers or painters, right? And they can show you, they can say, this is how I got here by doing these things. I think that there's nothing wrong with like looking at their life and how they conduct themselves, and maybe the ways in which they organize their life and the way they take steps in order to succeed. Like you can look at that and go, okay, I want to emulate that. I don't know. And at the same time, celebrities can also tell you like, okay, this is the way not to do it. This is how you don't do it like this. I was just using him as an example of I don't know if I want to call it an example of narcissism, but an example of maybe a narrative, like a self narrative gone out of control. Right? The narrative that he the way in which he reprogrammed himself or programs himself to succeed actually worked. It led to success, but it also is can lead to other things too. Let's keep reading. The study was inspired by the idea that while many engage in activism for altruistic reasons or due to direct personal impact by the issues at hand, others might be motivated by less. We read that. Based on the results of a previous study in which we investigated the relationship between dark personality traits, e.g. narcissism, and anti-sexual assault activism, we were interested to further explore the notion that some individuals may be involved in certain forms of activism i.e., feminist activism, to merely satisfy their own ego-focused needs instead of pro-social goals. Again, anything you can paint this. Anything, any cause can be used for this. It's just not necessarily. Anyways, the study involved 458 participants from the United States who were recruited through an online platform known as Prolific, ensuring a representative sample. The participants completed a range of psychological measures to assess various traits and behaviors, which was presented as an attitudes and behavior study. Pathological narcissism inventory was used to measure narcissistic traits, breaking them down into grandiosity and vulnerability aspects. Grandiosity reflects traits like an inflated self-image, entitlement, and a desire for admiration and respect. It's characterized by outwardly expressed behaviors like seeking attention and recognition. Narcissistic vulnerability, on the other hand, involves sensitivity to criticism, feelings of inadequacy, and fluctuating self-esteem, often leading to defensive and compensatory behaviors. Participants' involvement in feminist activism was gauged using the Involvement in Feminist Activist Scale, which considers activities like participating in demonstrations and rallies. Participants' involvement in feminist activism was measured using the Involvement in Feminist Activity Scale, encompassing actions like participating in demonstrations or advocating for women's rights. They said that it was like the same sentence twice in a row. The study also assessed feminist conversational interaction behaviors and self-identification as a feminist. Additionally, the study assessed altruism with the self-report altruism scale. Together, these measures provided a comprehensive view of each participant's psychological profile and their engagement in activism. The researchers found a significant relationship between higher levels of narcissistic grandiosity and greater involvement in feminist activism. Okay. Again, we're just taking this at face value. This is a furthermore, the study revealed that the narcissistic trait of exploitativeness or exploitativeness, characterized by a manipulative interpersonal orientation and the inclination to dominate others. Wow. Was particularly influential in this regard. In this present study, higher pathological narcissism was associated with greater involvement in feminist activism. Okay. According to this principle, individuals with dark personalities, right, they call it the dark triad. It's like narcissism and borderline, and I don't know what else is in there. The dark triad. They're attracted to certain forms of political and social activism, which they can use as a vehicle to satisfy their own ego-focused needs instead of actually aiming at social justice and equality. Yeah. However, the dark ego vehicle principle does not mean that feminist activism is per se narcissistic. Our results also show that people get involved in feminist activism due to their altruistic motive. Sure. All right. Public perception of such narcissistic behaviors within an activist movement may lead to dwindling support for the cause. I mean, I hear kind of the same things about BLM, right? That they see the people, some people involved in BLM are using it for, what started as maybe a very, again, this you can apply this to all kinds of things, right? So I'm not focusing on like feminist bad. This is not what I'm trying to say. I think that feminism is a perfectly legitimate and beneficial thing for people to be involved with. Like I'm not that's not my take on feminism, but Um, anyways, go figure. After all that, oh, I think he was screwing cornstarch. Alan. Um, who knows? After all that, all I have to say about this article is people. People. What are you going to do? People. This article is not, to me, the upshot of this article is not about, you know, the important part of this article is not feminism to me. It's not whatever. Corn pop. Yeah, there you go, Salt Lakers. Corn pop. Anyways, I thought that was an interesting headline in a study, and I just kind of wanted to like more broadly kind of branch out. And look at the time. Look at the time. Well, let's go back to this post from Nico House. An Israeli rabbi not only advocating for slavery, but actually trying to convince Israeli Jews that non-Jews would love to be slaves to the Jewish people. Well, what are we seeing with what are we seeing with this whole thing and this whole like you must not criticize Zionism, you must not criticize Israel, you must not criticize, right? They're tying, there's Jewish people who are like, we believe in the Jewish faith, we don't like what's going on here. What you have is some psychopathic entities, and some would argue that Zionism itself is not, is not Judaism, and I guess they would be right. But you have, psychopathic / narcissistic / dark individuals taking over, something that may on some levels seek to be altruistic and for the betterment of man or what have you, and doing the exact opposite, right? So we see this. So this rabbi is trying to tell you that slavery is going to be all right for non-Jewish people to. So you have you have what's supposed to be an extremely oppressed group of people, Jewish people, extremely oppressed. This is why nobody's ever supposed to say anything negative about them, ever. Doing, advocating for the things that were apparently done to them, and it's okay because somehow our mantle of oppression makes us better than you. I mean, that's literally what it is. The claim of victim, isn't that the crux of narcissism, right? The narcissistic way is to claim victimhood while you're abusing others. That's like right in the heart of narcissism. I'm going to claim victimhood. I'm abusing you, and if you have anything to say about it, I'm going to tell you that you're actually abusing me. I'm the victim. But we all, and I'm sure a lot of us have been in these situations with people where we're being messed with. Just to put it vaguely. Say what? Salt Lakers, or what you talking about? Oh, Google censors you if you try to spell out something. Okay, I got it. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, sure. You're not banned. Global solidarity. I can see what you're saying. Okay. I just want to make sure everything was all right on the channel. Anyways, what was I saying? Yeah. Google doesn't like puns. Okay. Invisible. So you can't see yourself in the chats? Is that what you're saying, global solidarity? I can see you. Yeah, I don't know. Well, side hustle, then why are you here? You can leave. I invite you to leave. Just walk out the door and leave. You don't have to be here. I suspect that you're not here because you want to be here. So, there's no reason for you to be here. Why are you here? I don't even know why Heimars is here. Why are you here, Heimars? You all you do is, you know, tell me I don't know. I just don't. I don't really get it. I don't really get it. Anyways. Yeah, we've already reached the end of the show. Close to the end. Do y'all want to hear this guy actually say he wants there to be slavery? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think you do, Side Hustle. I actually think you do. I actually think that's why you're here. Yeah, no, I just think you're here to be disruptive. And nobody does that. I mean, unless you just really have a lot of time on your hands, nobody does that. Just, woohoo. So whatever. Oh, you tell me, Side Hustle, who appeared right after I was talking about side hustles. Whoa. I think you're like the same dude. I think you're Heimars and Greg, and you're like the same addictive, or what was it? Info, the person on YouTube. I don't know. You're like the same dude who just keeps creating accounts just to like, which is so much funny to me. This is fun. It's a good time. But what what am I saying that's anti-Semitic? I'm talking about people within a group or organization that might be using it for nefarious ends. That's not, that's exactly what you are, and that's exactly what these folks are. I know something's in the water. I'm heckling back. Sometimes I like to heckle the hecklers. It's funny to me. Yeah, but pointing out that somebody, like I said earlier, I think feminism is something that needs to be, supported, uplifted. But some people within the feminist movement could actually be using it for nefarious ends, right? So people within Jews are supposed to be oppressed, but what? You're not even really like you're misquoting me, so you're not making a point by misquoting me for one thing. Side hustle actually might be a narcissist because this sounds like a narcissistic conversation to me. That's what narcissists do. They make up stuff that's not even true. And they're like, "Yeah, you said this. You suck." Like, I don't even say that. You're trying to make a point with something that's not real, so it's just like silly. Jews are supposed to be oppressed? No, that's not what I said. I said you're trying to turn in it's okay if Jews hold slaves. That's the opposite of oppression is being an oppressor. That's not what it is. No. The opposite of oppression is being free from being oppressed and wanting others to be free from being oppressed. That's the opposite of being oppressed. It's not oppressing others. It's like ridiculous. So, I don't know. I think you're funny. You're funny. No, that's not what it says. You're checking the tape. Go ahead. Have fun with that. No, it's cool. It's cool. It's all good. I'm not even going to play this. Or maybe I will. Hold on. Let me see.
The abolition of legal slavery, there are now deficiencies since no one is responsible for the property, right? Humans' property. With the help of God, it will return. Slavery will return. So who are going to be these slaves? The non-Jews will want to be our slaves, he says. Being the slave of a Jew is the best. They must be slaves. They want to be slaves. Instead of wandering the streets, being foolish and violent, harming one another, now his life begins. All around us, there are nations with genetic problems. Ask any simple Arab where he wants to be. He wants to be under the occupation. Why? Because they have a genetic problem.
Wow, doesn't that sound... Okay, that's all I'm going to play. Doesn't that sound like... certain people in Germany during a certain time? Anyways. They're supposed to be you're taking me out of context, Side Hustle. You're taking me out of context. I meant historically supposed to be looked at as, accepted as. Anyways, yeah, isn't that nuts? That is nuts. He's quoting the Bible. Somebody else is saying it. Jay Moniker. He's not saying it. Anyways, I won't play any more of it. Yeah. What are you saying, Gene? The Semites are the one that are being bombed, right? Exactly. So even the word anti-Semite, it doesn't make any sense. It's like calling somebody a conspiracy theorist. It doesn't mean anything. So you think you're making a point by calling somebody a conspiracy theorist, and you don't know what you're talking about. You sound not very smart. Anti-Semantic. There you go, Osama. Yeah, Semitic people are Jews and Palestinians. They're people from that area. So I don't know what you're talking about. Somebody on the YouTube chat, throw up a chat real quick. Just say anything, blah. Anyways, that's weird. Thanks, blah, blah. Thank you. Okay, cool. Well, I don't know. Did we learn anything today? How do we, I don't know what the upshot of our okay, anyways, whatever, dude. All right, thanks guys. So here's the thing, though, Side Hustle. If you're all up in the chats causing mayhem, I will block you. I'm just letting you know, because if you just are here to piss people off and get into arguments, I'm going to block you. I'm just giving you a warning, so that I'm fair. I'm fair. So there you go. But I'm trying to make it a conversation. But I don't even really know what your points are, anyways. I just don't. I don't understand what points you're making. You're just saying anything to say anything, and it just doesn't really. None of it makes sense. So there you go. Stop responding to nonsensical things. Some of them are funny though. This is word salad, right? It turns into word salad. That's what an argument or a conversation with a narcissist turns into. Word salad. You said Jews are supposed to be oppressed. That sucks. I'm like, no, it said that people have known that they have been oppressed in the past. So you're saying they're not oppressed? I'm like, what do you say? You're not even making any points. It's just word salad. Nothing makes sense. So I don't know. I dislike raisins in my word salad too. Yeah, I'll have to make you a mod on Rockfin Poppy. Gone with the Wind. Yeah. I know. I just wanted to change it up a little today, and there's a. I don't know. I thought that was an interesting article. I wanted to be. I don't know. I don't know what you're saying, dude. Whatever. You're not really trying to. Your points are not. I don't care what you have to say at this point. So, I'm very close to Xing you off the chats. So. Because you're really not making any point. You're not making any sense, and you're kind of frightening me because you sound a little nuts. All right, guys. It's fun though, huh? It's fun. Who's watching on Twitter? Anybody? Anybody? Oh, I can never tell. Somebody was retweeting it though. Anyways, I thought that was an interesting article. I saw the article. I thought like, okay, this could be something good to talk about. So I just wanted to talk about it. That's all. That is all. Hope you enjoyed the conversation at least. If you enjoy the show, there are ways that you can support the show. BuyMeACoffee.com/BlackBirdNews. Cash App at Red Llama Music. Venmo at Kevin Sandbloom. PayPal.me/Kevin Sandbloom. Zelle. You can Zelle me at Kevin Sandbloom or ProtonMail.com. It's like, a talk show. And we also bring you news and stuff too. I do bring the show to you every day for the low price of free $3.99. There's not any paywalls or nothing. And so the show goes forward with your help. So I appreciate all the help I can get. And so many of you do help me, and I appreciate you. So thank you. You guys are awesome. I'm trying to see if I got any coffees or anything. Let's see. What? What is going on? Oh, I forgot to tell you too. This is last minute, totally last minute. I should have done this at the beginning of the show. I do. There's something I'm doing for Christmas or around Christmas. The last minute, if you have a late someone you're getting a gift for or yourself, I'm doing like a digital box set of all my music, which is 15 albums worth of music, and for $60. So let me drop some links real quick before I go. Let's see. I meant to do this yesterday. But if you're interested in owning all of my music digitally, you can do so here. KevinSandbloom.com/store. KevinSandbloom.com/store. And you can, I'll put the link below the show on Twitter. There you go. And so, yeah, if you want to check out like all of my music, you can do that. You can do that. I think this was a good discussion. I just wanted to, here we go. The link is on Twitter too. So check it out if you like. Yeah. And it's digital. It's a digital, it's just an email. So if you want to send somebody something in these last couple of days before Christmas, then that could be a thing. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. Thanks for joining me every day on these internets. I appreciate you. See you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Until next time, peace.
Mm-hmm.